read this book. I just sort of hold it in the streets so strangers don't come up to me and bother me about stupid stuff. Exactly 3 years ago today, on August the 3rd, 2013, I uploaded my very first review to this channel. Also, my second. And my third. And after that, came my fourth. You see, this isn't actually the first channel I've made dedicated to making reviews. And in fact, the first 9 reviews that I posted here are all reposted. I made those way earlier in the year. But since on paper it will always say that I started on the 3rd of August, I say, what the hell? I started on the 3rd of August. That's when I'll celebrate. That's when I'll do my big anniversary shebang. And that's what we are here to do today. Do you guys remember Zygon? Zygon, When Being You Just Isn't Enough, is a BBV film which was released in 2008, long after most of these sorts of things came out. It started off pretty good, featuring an intriguing storyline about a normal guy realizing that his entire life up to this point has been a lie, and that his detailed dreams of alien life might be more reality than imagination. But it then not only decided to dive into a far less interesting story with a Mary Sue psychiatrist, but also insisted on showing off the naughty parts of every leading actor. More importantly, Zygon, When Being You Just Isn't Enough, was my first big review, and it's still the most viewed episode of this series. And while watching that over 3-year-old video is easily more difficult to me now than watching the actual film in question, it's still likely the best video of my original run outside of number 10. But what if I were to tell you that this film has a prequel, or rather, that this entire time, it's been a sequel? I can find so little out about this special, mainly because TARDIS Wiki made the executive decision to scrap it alongside a billion other BBV products a long time ago. I even had a hard time figuring out the date that it came out, since so few people care about this movie that even official fan sites just leave the entire page blank. There's little left to do other than just watching the damned thing, I guess. Instead of having a long artsy intro with an all-telling crotch shot like in Zygon, Cyberon, When Being About as a Real Bugger, cuts straight to the point, showing Lauren Anderson, our infamous sexy psychiatrist, enter the clinic to see everything in havoc. The first thing that you may notice is that the production levels are definitely in the need of some work. And also, way down low! I mean, in Zygon, I can at least say that I was certainly under the impression that not only was this filmed inside a real hospital, but I felt like there was also probably a real director on board with the project. But in this one, I am pretty sure that that is just some dude's living room, and in terms of directing, well, it's not something that I couldn't do, is all I can really say. She initially meets with one of her patients, whom has extreme dementia and has trouble grasping the situations that he's in from a day-to-day basis. When she first goes to meet him, he thinks that she is his dead friend Sam. After work, she heads home to her apartment to see her roommate waiting for her. She goes on to explain most of the troubles that she's gone through during her workday. At this point, I want to make it very clear again that these two are literally the same characters, Lauren and her X-Factor roommate. This film should be pretty important to me understanding Zygon as a film. While watching that flick, I kept saying to myself, why are these two still in this film? And Cyberon might be an answer, since it's basically their origin story, and thus it's the reason why the director would have been attached to them to the point that he would force them into a new movie. And even if I get nothing out of this film, I can at least say that I have answered one of the biggest questions that I had during the second one. Oh my god, this guy is so nice! Why aren't you dating him? Either he's gay, or you put him in the friend zone.
Ray, what about you? You can stay. Sure.
How'd you get on with Tom?
Oh, he was talking all night. I don't know where he gets the energy from.
I feel a little bit more complete. Like I've really accomplished something this whole time. Also, I just want to make it clear once again that I hate all of my old videos. One last thing, and I guess I wouldn't really know, but is it normal for girls to hang around their gay friends when both of them are basically naked? Lauren ends up meeting with a doctor named Tom Morley, who has been doing research on an experimental drug that is meant to help deal with mental illnesses like those that Lauren practices in.
And that stuff in there is Cyberon.
The magic ingredient.
I'm gonna be honest, just the name Cyberon turns me off from the get-go. It doesn't make me think of a mysterious futuristic medicine. Rather, I keep imagining a Ron Swanson-based Terminator who decides to take down the US government. Which, ironically, now that I think about it, is the most sexually attractive thing that my mind has ever come up with. Anyways, Lotso here injects the experimental drug into several of Lauren's patients and then promises that Cyberon is the ultimate drug in medical and physical repair, apparently being able to replicate and replace missing and damaged brain cells very quickly to allow for steady advancements.
I'm happy for you to run this trial. I just don't want you giving people false hope.
One of the biggest problems with Lauren Anderson as a character is that she's a Tegan knockoff. What I mean by that is, she constantly acts like she's the moral authority in the room, even and especially when she is totally wrong. Like, oh, I'll let you give my patients an experimental drug that the UK government has not approved of and doesn't know about, but don't you dare run around telling them that it will make them feel better. That's just completely out of the line. The old man that Lauren has been meeting with starts doing considerably better, having increased motor skills and being able to recall a considerable amount more.
Who is the President of the United States?
The President of the United States. Green hair. Well, it looks green sometimes on television.
Yesterday he didn't even remember his own name, let alone yours.
There are signs of improvements, but we're only one day into a 3-month test.
Bullshit. No, you're not. You did not start giving him that drug yesterday. That is where I draw the line, movie. It doesn't take a drug one day to go into effect, no matter how futuristic it is. Lauren and Timmy have a huge fight over whether or not they can say that the drug is officially working, and she tries to make amends by inviting him out to dinner the next night.
Sounds good to me.
I can't help but feel like this reminds me a little bit too much of what had happened up to this point with Zygon.
I mean, as I'm not seeing you anymore.
Sure.
So Lauren, Simon, and Tootsie go to a pub that night, where they initially play some sort of trivia game. Yoko keeps pointing out all the right answers, and Lauren keeps ignoring these because she prefers her own. This eventually leads to some obnoxiously on-the-snout foreshadowing about Lauren and robots.
Lauren suffers from technophobia. You should hear her shouting my computer trying to write a letter.
Well, you better get used to it, because pretty soon your computer is going to shout back. In 50 years' time, you won't be able to distinguish between computers and real people. We're all on the same side, aren't we?
Pretty annoying, right? It's like the film won't just let us wait to see what happens next. What would you think if I told you that none of the things that are foreshadowed in this scene ever happened for real? Yeah. So that night, the old man that the drug has been tested on wakes up to see a ghostly figure looming over his bed. Fearing for his life, he runs to the hall screaming for help before collapsing onto the floor and passing away. Lauren begins to grow worried that this might have been in reaction to the Cyberon shots. But after some talking, she and Robert agree to wait for the autopsy, and they also agree to continue seeing each other despite it being against the rules. So Ruth goes out on a second date with Lauren, where they hang out at a club and dance to music. Nothing happens during this scene. We get a brief scene where we learn that Radcliffe has been taking the Cyberon drug and has been having hallucinations. But that doesn't last long, and it's right back to the director's living room lit up funny. They bang that night.
She's ready to do. I put Tom back.
It was during this scene that I finally realized the main problem that these films have that make me dislike them so much. It's that they are, for some dumb reason, centered entirely around the sexual exploits of one Lauren Anderson. And I do not care about the sexual exploits of Lauren Anderson. I don't even care about Lauren Anderson, period. She is the worst. In both films, there is a smidgen of me that wants to look past minor flaws and concentrate on the story. In Cyberon, the minor flaws are the bad sets and directing. And in Zygon, the minor flaws are the lines in critics' ballsack. But in both cases, there's only one singular thing that is stopping me from fully enjoying anything in these pictures. This woman, who is not interesting to watch and constantly hogs the screen whenever she gets the chance. Have I mentioned that this film has literally 2 songs that are used in the background throughout the entire film? No matter if it fits or not, it's just those 2. And one of them almost never seems in place, because it sounds like something out of a Halloween movie, and yet it's played during scenes that are not supposed to be unsettling. They go to do an autopsy on the old man, but discover that the Cyberon medicine has begun to seep into his blood cells, and that some of his veins are pulsating a gross silver. But they leave another practitioner up to the job and go about on their own business. Sometime later, Lauren accidentally walks in on Doug shooting himself up with the Cyberon drug, causing her to angrily storm off and break it off with him romantically. He tries to justify why he's been doing this, but they are both cut short by the second patient suddenly regaining the ability to walk. Lauren talks to the patient about how she feels and discovers that the woman has sort of lost it a tiny bit, believing that she's being helped by a guardian angel that lives inside her head named Cy, who she thinks is helping her recover. Rowan goes home to discover that a figure is waiting for him at the top of the stairs. Brace yourselves, people. The following shot is the full reveal of the unadulterated, absolute Cyberon costume.
Can I talk to you?
Of course.
Ask you questions?
I will give you the answers. A further dose of Cyberon will better facilitate.
I'm hallucinating.
That looks so goddamn bad! It looks like someone accidentally melted a Michael Jackson mask you'd buy for Halloween. It's close to something you would see in a bad 2002 direct-to-DVD 3D movie. Like someone stretched out a nice flab of crappy latex over Ben Affleck's chin. Hold on, I have more. And it gets even more shitty past the head. I'm pretty sure that's a tracksuit he's wearing, and that's definitely an air vent painted silver. Oh my god, I love it so much! So I bet a lot of you right now are thinking, hey Quinton, how come the video quality has dropped considerably in the last minute and 10 seconds? Well, there's a fun answer for that one. You see, when I first sat down to watch this film, I could only find a really grimy old VHS copy. And I'm very happy that this was the case, because I was shocked to then discover that the DVD release of the film had censored the Cyberon costume. They censored it. They covered it up. They blurred it out. We're talking about Bill Baggs here, the dude who proudly filmed an experimental nudist Doctor Who film, sat on it for 4 years, and then released it anyways. And this is the thing that he feels he needs to cover up. The thing that he looks back on and regrets. Holy shit. So the Cyberon is all like,
We can talk, bro, but first, you should dope the hell up.
But Burton perseveres and decides that this figure must be a figment of his imagination, and he eventually forces the Cyberon out of the room by concentrating hard enough. So, what proof do we have that this all isn't in his head? No, seriously. Now that I think about it, there is no real scene that couldn't be explained by the Cyberon drug causing very consistent hallucinations. So Lauren tells her roommate that she's broken up with Tom Tom because he's been abusing the drug, and Simon reveals that he has found some of the drug in her pockets and that it's been glowing brightly and moving like it's alive.
Was it doing this before?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. It looks like it's alive.
This is one of those scenes where the special effects clearly can't pull off what they're talking about in the dialogue, so you just gotta use your imagination when you're watching it. Tommykins sleeps at home without a shirt on and greets Lauren, who wants to talk to them about the drug. He initially laughs off all of her complaints until she forces him to watch her pour some into water. It is then that he comes to terms with the fact that the medicine really is, truly, evil.
You really didn't know, did you? Tom, we have to isolate this.
I just really want to know. Really want to know what the hell was supposed to be happening in these scenes. because the special effects say the cyber juice made the water boil a bit. But the faces on these actors say, Satan exists, and he's sitting in my toilet. So Lauren's like, well, clearly this thing is evil, we need to destroy it. But Tom is like, psh, what? Nah, man, hear me out. What if this is a good thing? Lauren says to give her the last of the drug, which she takes literally as he forces her to go down with him. And after spending just a short time on it, Lauren immediately decides that she's fine with him taking over the world. I'm getting strong flashbacks to her going along with Torlak even though he had just murdered Simon. It seems way too easy to entice Lauren into stupid alien shit. Just make it seem a little bit whimsical and you can get her to do anything. Hey, I just thought of something. If Zygon hadn't taken 5 years to get through production, would they have kept making these? Are these guys supposed to be like Looney Tunes characters, where you can put them into any situation without any continuity and it won't matter? Like, in the second film, they never ever mention this shit. It seems like something that you would bring up if something like this happened again. Man, though, I would kill to live in the universe where they kept making these. Such classic titles as Lauren and the Triple-Sized Doll Egg, Warm Me Up, Mr. Iceman, and my personal favorite, Nail and Naimon. Yeah, so Lauren sees all the Cyberons acting in public and accepts them as beautiful beings, growing happy that everyone around her has grown so much stronger mentally. I don't get why the Cyberons take the physical form of something so creepy and threatening when they could actually just try to look like something that people would be drawn to. It would make much more sense than them just being weird and creepy and saying nice things to people. Consider it like in Doctor Who, when the Cybermen disguise themselves as the ghosts of loved ones. Hey, you notice that I've been reviewing a Doctor Who tribute film, but I only just now got around to saying the show's name out loud? I wonder if that's because BBV films rarely actually encapsulated what made the show fun to begin with. Lauren goes back to her apartment, but when Simon finds out that she's still on the stuff, he tries to talk some sense into her.
That stuff talked to us, Lauren.
No, it didn't. It would be so funny if this film ended on an honest-to-God drug intervention where she cries about her addiction and they all agree to move on. Oh man, that's easily the best possible outcome to this. Lauren decides to get off the drugs, but she soon starts hallucinating again, going as far as starting to see the old man who had been killed off before.
Are you real?
Are you?
Oh shit.
So she takes this old dude out for a walk and asks him a lot of questions about the Cyberon and the mysterious beings that she keeps seeing. Who they are and what they want. But she doesn't really get any real answers. That's the biggest problem with this movie, I think. We never find out anything about the big questions that we, as audience members, have. Who made the drug? Where did this dude get it? Did he make it? Did aliens give it to him? Who are the metal dudes? How does it work? Who does it work for? Why does it work? What are the plans of the creators of the drug? All of these questions are never answered fully. And I think it's pretty clear why. You see, I keep calling these rubber dudes Cyberons, but only out of necessity. They're never actually called that in the film. The drug in question is what is called Cyberon. The robot dudes are unnamed, and the obvious reason for this is so that the audience will presume that the creators of the Cyberon drugs, and thus these shitty-looking automated machines, are none other than the Cybermen from classic Doctor Who.
I'm hallucinating.
Then why are you talking to me, Tom?
There is logic in what he says.
The thing is, I could see this being a plot by the Cybermen. Make a drug that seems to heal the weak, and then slowly kill off a few at a time to allow for cyber conversion. Plus, those fully on the drug will also slowly be converted. But none of this happens. Listen to me carefully. I will not repeat myself. The mysterious silver men we see throughout the special never, not even once, never appear outside of the hallucinations of the main characters. They don't take any of the people over, they don't attack anyone, it's just a bunch of people on drugs seeing weird shit, trying to do some vague weird evil crap, and then deciding that they're done with it and they're just gonna stop taking the drug. I'm sure that this entire film was written under the reasoning that they could eventually slip it in after they got more rights and retcon this special into official canon. To the point that they even satirize it in their own comedy film, Do You Have a License to Save This Planet?
Unlicensed Cyberons working for you.
He has promised us legitimate status. There will be prime time
There will be merchandising, posable action figures. There will be ears. It will be excellent.
When Tommy finds out that Lauren has been skipping out on her dosage, he and the cyber shits decide that she must die for this so that no one else will try to stop them. He ties her up in Christ pose, Christ pose, Christ pose. Lauren's a Christ figure. All makes sense, don't you see? Born again. Yes, miracles. Yes, miracle birth. It's all good. Christ figure. Woohoo! The fight eventually falls down to the floor below, where Johnny comes at Lauren and tries to kill her. She threatens to stab him with a pair of scissors, to which he replies,
You won't.
and then she does it. Wait a second. So why isn't Lauren in jail at the start of Zygon then? Well, because it turns out he somehow survives due to the might of the brilliant Cyberon medicine. Back at the hospital, with the drug gone, all of the patients are left off even worse than they were at the start of the film. Meanwhile, Johnny 5 has resorted to selling the Cyberon drug illegally at gay nightclubs.
Look, the first one's for free if it'll put your mind at rest. This is the next big thing. It's gonna be huge.
Whatever, man. Cyberon's not only bad, it's not only not a fun thing to watch, but I can say, without a single shred of doubt in my voice, that this is much worse than Zygon ever was. Cyberon is a poorly paced, shoddy, sickly attempt at a movie. These characters aren't likable, the villains look terrible, nothing is ever explained, and there's no sense of plot or happenings. There's a reason that Zygon never mentions this film, because it's not even worth recognizing the existence of this. It's just a straight hour of melodramatic, overdone moments. Music not matching anything, emotions not lining up, all alongside one very tedious, sexy psychiatrist. I mean, don't get me wrong, Zygon was bad, but Cyberon is a much worse crime. Cyberon is boring. So boring that this review is going to end up just as stale as it is in the end. And that really sucks. Because I wanted to make this a real big deal. An awesome anniversary story to mark it all off with. Hell, I don't see a real reason to quit quite yet. You want more anniversary videos? I'll give you more anniversary videos. Coming up next week, we look at the end of time itself.